Bienvenidos, welcome to Mexico. Here behind me, you can see the international border wall.
Hey guys, curious about San Diego's southern sister? Well, welcome to Tijuana. In this video, we'll explore the best of Tijuana and show you why you should visit this modern cosmopolitan city home to over 2.5 million people. I will also answer all your questions about border crossings, getting into Mexico and coming back into the US. That and much more in this video.
This is Hotel Caesar, the place where Caesar salad was invented.
If you enjoy exploring a walkable downtown, immersing yourself in Mexican culture, relaxing on the beach, and savoring delicious food at affordable prices, this video is right for you. Tijuana sits at the crossroads of North American politics. In recent years, the city has faced pressure from immigration and cartel-related activities. However, the reality of life here in Tijuana is often very different from what the media portrays. I created this video to give you a fresh perspective on what Tijuana is really like in 2025 and to share everything you need to know to decide whether if you should visit this city.
Good morning. We start our trip into Tijuana, Mexico at the San Ysidro trolley stop. This is the best way to cross into Mexico because you don't have to pay for parking at the trolley stops and you don't have to worry about accidentally driving into Mexico if you get your directions wrong. We're the southernmost end of California here, and behind us, the international border with customs and border protection offices.
Going south, it's easy. As a foreigner, you'll probably get your documents checked. It's just a quick glance that you have the right passport documents and a walk through the metal detector. Remember, guns and weapons are illegal to bring into Mexico.
And this is where the pedestrian entry heads from California into Mexico. We passed through some metal detectors and we are in Mexico. Bienvenidos. We have about a 30-minute walk to get to downtown, which is over by the arch. There's an easy pedestrian bridge there. You cross the border and there are vendors everywhere.
First-time travelers may find the Mexican side of the border crossing a little confusing. You're not actually in Tijuana downtown yet, and the signs are not easy to find. Here's a detailed walking map that you can use to guide yourself from the border crossing into Tijuana downtown. Pause here and take a screenshot. And just a FYI, make sure to turn mobile roaming on so you can call, text, access your map and internet using the local network.
Here's the international border back to the United States. Behind me, on the right side here, is the pedestrian crossing.
Quick look at the pedestrian line back to the USA. When you come back, you just have to get in that line and you'll be back home. On my map, there's a bridge you cross right after the taxi station. Here's what it should look like. After crossing this mixed car and pedestrian bridge, you walk through the old Plaza Viva Mall. Rumor has it that the opening of the pedestrian west border crossing took a lot of foot traffic away from this mall, causing a lot of stores to go out of business. The quietness of this mall was a little eerie when I was walking by, not gonna lie. Past the mall and an old abandoned police shed, and you are on the bridge into Tijuana downtown.
Here's some geography. This is the Tijuana River, heavily polluted, a lot of raw sewage runs into it. But this is Southern California's largest watershed. Flows into the United States and then empties in the Pacific there in Borderfield State Park.
I promise this walk will end soon. 5 more minutes and we'll be in downtown.
A 25-minute walk. We're here in downtown. It was not tiring, just a little sunny today. This is the start of Avenida Revolucion on the left as we head south towards the touristy areas of the city.
Downtown Tijuana, or Zona Centro, is where most visitors center their visit. The centerpiece here is Avenida Revolucion, a safe and fun spot for visitors, with plenty of bars, souvenir shops, and restaurants to choose from.
If you miss America, there's no shortage of American foods here.
I appreciate how the city prioritizes pedestrians by blocking off car traffic, making Revolucion enjoyable to explore by foot. It's a bit touristy though, so be sure to explore other downtown streets.
Hey guys, now we're on Avenida Revolucion. This is the main pedestrian street in Tijuana Centro. Actually, the locals don't spend much time here because most of the stuff here is catered towards tourists. This area is all pedestrian. A lot of the locals spend time just the street west. I'm going to head towards the home place of the Caesar salad, where Chef Cesar invented the Caesar salad in Mexico almost 100 years ago when he ran out of ingredients, but he needed to make something for his guests. So he put together a bunch of anchovy, cheese, and lettuce and invented the Caesar salad, and it became popular ever since. Tijuana was popular back in the 1920s during the Prohibition era when drinking was outlawed in the United States. At that time, drinking was legal south of the border. So tourists, celebrities, everybody alike north of the border who can come over here came and had a drink. Today, Tijuana is still popular with partiers, Zona Norte for more seedy partying, but those who are not of legal drinking age in the US can come here and drink at the age of 18. Instead of taking the avenue down this way, once you cross the border, a pro tip is to go down the pedestrian area. You can see a lot of shops, street vendors there on this pedestrian street. At the end is the church, the Iglesia de Sonora, the first Catholic church in Tijuana. And then we'll come back and then walk down the avenue.
Plaza Santa Cecilia greets visitors with Mexican charm and splashes of colors. Live music, vendors, and a happy atmosphere creates a lovely welcome into downtown. Look up and admire the papel picado decorations dancing in the West Coast breeze. The street is a block long and drops you off in the east-west artery called Avenida Benito Juarez, named after the first indigenous president of Mexico. Spend a few minutes of solitude to peek inside the gorgeous Iglesias de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe Church, the first Catholic church in Tijuana. After stopping by the church, cross the street and visit the Tijuana History Museum. They have a great collection here dating back over a century to the heydays of Tijuana. Today, it's staffed by very knowledgeable docents.
Tijuana is in the state of Baja California. Baja California has an interesting history. It's called Baja means lower because the modern day California in the United States was once part of the vast Mexican territory until the Mexican-American War. After the Mexican-American War was won by the Americans to the north, a new border was redrawn under the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. And today, Mexico owns the much drier, less fertile land to the south of the border.
The loss of Mexican land to the Americans up north was very controversial, but the newly drawn border put Tijuana at the crossroads of the United States and Mexico, transforming Tijuana into a center of commerce, making it one of the largest cities in Mexico today. If you're looking for a more local experience and want to see bustling Tijuana, head just one street west to Avenida Constitucion. In my opinion, that's the best street in downtown. It offers a wider variety of shopping options, is catered to locals, and features more upscale stores, giving you a better idea of what the city has to offer.
A lot of nice clothing stores here.
Let's switch gears and head to the beach. But first, let's talk transportation. Tijuana's mini buses connect most places, but you should probably know some Spanish and the local bus routes well before using them. Uber is the best option if you're an out-of-towner and have phone reception. Lyft wasn't available, just Uber. An Uber ride ranges anywhere from $5 to $15 US. There was a lot of drivers in Tijuana, so getting a ride was easy and quick. It was pretty awesome seeing these mini buses rolling around. They used Toyota Hi-Ace vans, something you see more in Southeast Asia, Africa, and foreign countries. They don't sell these vans in the United States. Here are some clips outside of downtown as we roll through the suburbs on our way to the beach. Pro tip is if you are ordering an Uber after crossing into Mexico, make sure to do it a block or so away from the taxi company waiting area. Taxis aren't usually a fan of rideshare, and they will make a fuss about you getting into an Uber. If you don't have phone reception, taxis are a solid backup, especially from the border into downtown. Most drivers speak some English and accept US dollars, but make sure to agree on a fare before getting in. It's about $3 to $5 US to get from the border taxi area into downtown. And if you're just staying in downtown, once you get there, it is super walkable. You can even get to adjacent neighborhoods like Zona Rio or Cacho under 20 to 30 minutes by foot. Well, how about driving your own car into Mexico? That usually isn't recommended, especially if you're just staying in Tijuana. Foreign plates are often targeted by police for bribes and silly infractions. The roads aren't super good in Mexico, so make sure your vehicle are able to handle some potholes before driving in if you do drive. Those who bring their cars into Mexico generally aren't staying in Tijuana, but venturing deeper into Baja. The general consensus is don't drive at night in Mexico, and make sure to plan adequate time when you're crossing back into the United States. Be sure to purchase Mexican auto insurance before crossing into Mexico. Last but not least, make sure to park in a secured area and don't bring a flashy vehicle. Here's the neighborhood of Soler just south of the US border, a map for perspective. 15 minutes of driving from downtown and we are at the beach, Playas de Tijuana.
A lot of beachfront property houses here. Nice hotel. We're at the Playas de Tijuana. Welcome to the beach. We are just across the border from the United States. You can even see the fence here. There is a torero or a bullfighting ring behind us in that stadium. And in front of us is the mighty Pacific Ocean. Behind us you can see the American border wall over there. And you have the two islands right off the coast. It's a wildlife refuge. It's almost like a closer version of the Farallon Islands up in Northern California. There's a radar up there that watches ships that try to cross the oceanic border legally. This border used to not be fenced. In the 90s, it was just a barbed wire. Before that, it was just a bunch of monuments a few decades ago. That white monument right there is actually the border of the United States. So the border wall is built just past the international border. Here behind me, you can see the international border wall. There's a lot of art here from the Mexican side talking about the cross-border relationships of our two countries, the United States and Mexico. These two were once one country. Large swath of land to the north used to be Mexico. After the Mexican-American War, the Americans fought and won the northern half. And in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo, Mexico ceded the land to the north to the United States. And today, we have the current Mexican-American border just right behind us. The border wall is twofold. There's the first wall here, painted, and in between, no man's land, and the second wall, making it almost impossible to cross here. I've counted over 30 surveillance cameras just behind me, a radar trying to track ships coming across the maritime border illegally. Here, today, the park is very peaceful. Unlike what the media portrays, there's not a long line of migrants here. Most migrants who come into the United States illegally come in by overstaying their visas, coming in legally, and not leaving on time. This park has been slowly isolated from its northern border. In the past, there are only the monuments that we see, the rocky and pointy monuments that mark the international border. Later on, they added barbed wire fences, stronger walls, and now, two walls. Mexico and the United States are inseparable partners. A lot of trade flows through the borders. Sitting here, without looking at the news, you would not know this area has been through so much turmoil. We wish the best to both Mexico and the United States and hope relationships continue to improve in the United States. We hope that Mexican cartel violence decreases and Mexico can instead turn its attention towards increasing its GDP and improving quality of life and security for its citizens. Swimming here is generally not advised due to the strong currents, as well as raw sewage from the Tijuana River just entering to Borderfield State Park. Common question is, why don't they build the wall further out? Apparently, there's a lot of barbed wire and strong currents here, make it very difficult to cross. And once you cross, there's ample immigration officials on the American side. The other side is currently closed as of filming this video, but there is a estuary where they had to protect because a lot of migrant traffic moving up and down the border here. Unfortunately, due to pollution and human trampling in the last few decades, there's been a substantial loss of wildlife just north of here in the Tijuana River estuary. But it's really hot up there. It's about 10-15 degrees Fahrenheit cooler right here by the ocean. Before we leave the beach, let's take one last look into San Diego to give you a perspective of these two sister cities. Our next stop is Zona Rio, the hippest, most modern area of Tijuana. Big skyscrapers, people in suits, and bustling businesses everywhere. Zona Rio translates to the river zone because it is next to the namesake Tijuana River. You can get to Zona Rio with a 30-minute walk from downtown, or better yet, just take an Uber here. It's commute hour and people are starting to get off work. You can see more of the local working professional community now. Zona Rio is also a popular destination for folks wanting to get medical procedures done. Procedures from plastic surgery to dental cleaning are cheaper in Mexico, and lines are shorter than the US. Zona Rio's modern architecture makes it feel a lot more like the United States with its wide boulevards. On the right is Sicut, Tijuana's cultural center, museum, and IMAX theater. Across the street is a large shopping mall and a Costco wholesale. And this is a great neighborhood for us to have some lunch. Zona Rio is Tijuana's premier dining district. This time, we chose to stop at Georgina Restaurante. They are a classy spot with an upscale kitchen, traditional items on the menu with a modern twist, a good reflection of modern-day Mexico.
Let's check out one more really cool neighborhood before we finish our visit.
We're walking towards Colonia Madero, hipster area of town.
Cacho, or Colonia Madero, is home to a younger population.
Beautiful sun and the colorful buildings here in Mexico really makes this place come alive.
This was a beautiful afternoon. Birds chirping and this fresh-smelling spring air made the day perfect. Cacho is the perfect place to spend the afternoon after a full day of exploring. There are art studios here and cool urban eats. Most famously, Cacho is home to the Telefonica Gastropark, a marketplace for food trucks and modern vendors with hip eats and microbreweries at great prices and trendy vibes. And look, a ramen spot. Beyond that, there are Cajun eats, barbecue, and fun brunch spots like Alma Verde. This is also a great area to find a hotel or Airbnb.
Like the United States, there are a lot of strip malls here, but there's a very charming city park.
At the edge of Cacho on the way to downtown, you pass by the site of the old Agua Caliente Casino. This was the place to go to when drinking was prohibited during the 1920s in the United States. Celebrities flocked to Tijuana to have a good time. Today, it's just a nice, relaxing city park.
If I had the whole day, I would come and sit and enjoy the park here. It's quite a relaxing vibe. And here, we make our way back to Avenida Revolucion.
This ubiquitous chain, Farmacias Similares, sells off-brand medication. I'm not sure I would trust that. Let's talk about safety and travel tips. While Tijuana's murder rates are sobering, tourist areas are generally safe. Cartel violence peaked in 2008 to 2011 when El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel fought for control of drug routes with the local Tijuana cartel. For various reasons, the fight simmered out and most of Mexico's instability is now concentrated around the eastern border at Tamaulipas near Brownsville, Texas.
It's rush hour here.
In terms of bad neighborhoods in Tijuana, lower income residential areas are still troublesome. Avoid neighborhoods such as Refugio, Sanchez Tobada, and the seedy Zona Norte red light district. There's not much east of the Tijuana River unless you're headed to the airport, so no real reason to wander there. As a traveler, my top concerns were corrupt police if I were driving with US plates, pickpocketers, and attracting attention if I wore or drove anything flashy. Property crime is a reality in the big city and the surrounding area. But to tie it together to bring it back into a realistic perspective, Tijuana downtown, Zona Rio, and Playas are predictable places, not war zones as the media describes. To be extra safe, come with a friend. Keep your exploring during daylight hours, and take rideshare to get around if you don't feel comfortable walking alone. Honestly, my biggest concern was rolling an ankle on broken manhole covers that never seemed to be repaired, or stumbling on a crumbling sidewalk. The infrastructure, especially out of downtown, is a little questionable.
Lower emission regulations means you can smell the distinct blend of Mexican gasoline when you're here.
Last but not least, as with other parts of Mexico, remember to drink only bottled water and avoid drinking tap.
A famous thing in Tijuana is donkeys that are painted like zebras. And today, casinos here. Feels a lot like San Francisco here. There's a police motorcycle being towed.
Something about the buildings, businesses, and pace here reminds me of the Mission District in San Francisco.
We walk back towards the touristy pedestrian-only section of Avenida Revolucion. A lot of modern buildings are coming up in Tijuana. Look at this new hotel.
Heading back to the US is easy. Follow the same directions I gave coming into Mexico and go in reverse.
Crossing back to the United States, go towards the arch.
There are signs that lead you into the US, but where there are no signs, just follow my directions and you will be able to get back to San Ysidro just fine.
Here, there's a pedestrian overcrossing that takes you over the Tijuana River. Blue sign tells you that you're on the right path back to the United States. There's a little homeless encampment to the left here, so it gets a little seedy. A pro tip is, if this San Ysidro crossing is busy, you can come here and leave in the morning and go through Ped West, San Ysidro instead of Ped East.
There are two crossings back to the United States. There's Ped East and Ped West. Ped East is the traditional San Ysidro crossing where the trolley station is. Ped West is a new pedestrian border crossing mainly used by commuters. It's just a few blocks from Ped East, but at the time of this video, Ped West is only open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. for northbound travel into the US. Ped East is the main crossing. It's open 24/7. For live wait times, check the links in the description below. If you're tired or feel uncomfortable doing the whole walk, just order a taxi. It's about $3 to $5 one way. Fun fact, San Ysidro is the busiest land border crossing in the Western Hemisphere, with 80,000 cars and 20,000 pedestrians crossing daily. That's the size of a whole city.
On the American side, there's a big shopping mall, the border wall right in the distance with the river running under it.
Once you arrive at Playas, just make sure to head all the way to the right, past all the car traffic. That's the pedestrian line into the United States. On this crossing, I was able to get into the US in 25 minutes. I have seen crossing times under 15 minutes and over 2 hours. Busy hours are generally during commute times when people try to get back into the US on Sunday afternoons and early on Monday. Check with the US Customs links in the description below for live and historic crossing times. Here are some raw clips of the US Customs office. You can see the cars waiting to get back into the US.
And like that, we're back on the United States side.
If you made it this far in the video, you're probably interested in every little detail. So here, the pedestrian line enters US soil a few hundred feet before you go through the full customs check. At the actual US border, you will find a customs officer greet travelers to confirm that they are carrying the correct travel documents. And finally, a quick chat with a designated immigration officer and you are on your way into the US.
Welcome back to the United States. That's how you get back from Tijuana to San Ysidro. Next to border crossing, you can buy train tickets, $2.50 each way, and head back into downtown San Diego. If you found this video helpful for your trip planning, opened your eyes about the international border, and learned a bit about Tijuana, please be sure to add a like to this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next adventure.